Hello, Maras, as we say in the northeast of England. How are you diddling? Today I'm going to talk about why it is that the Emissaries have stopped talking about the Great Awakening and just talk all the time about the split. What's that all about? I'll tell you all about it on to the side. So you may have noticed that the messages that I'm giving from the Emissaries are talking about the banana split. Split. And before, a little step back, it was timeline. And then before that, it was Great Awakening. I'm very aware that the theme has changed. And now they're talking about the split. So I said to them, why is it that you don't talk about the Great Awakening so much? Has that finished now? And they said no, but we're getting very close to the finishing of the Great Awakening. They said it's happening. It's like we're there. It's happening now. So I asked them, well, if it's happening now, I've got to say that if it's happening now, what I'm not seeing is a massive shift. You know, and I've even got my questions about how big our group is going to be. Okay, finally, you know, and how many people are going to stay on the left-hand path. What they said was this. They said, on our side, everything is moving extremely quickly. The energies are moving really quickly. They said the issue is that even though the energies are moving, on the 3D plane, everything is sluggish. They said it's like, and they showed me the analogy of trying to drag, and what they showed me was trying to drag an anvil, you know, that the blacksmiths use, trying to drag an anvil out of a muddy pit. And they said it's sluggish. It's very difficult to see things happening on the 3D plane because even though the energies have changed, then the results that come from that are very slow and very sluggish. Okay, so they said that's why we can say the Great Awakening is just about done, and you wouldn't say that on 3D plane, and I wouldn't say that. I would say, yeah, we're definitely in it, man. It's beautiful to watch, but I wouldn't say it's done. And they said, just as in the last message, we're just waiting for the stragglers. And I said, talking about stragglers, my sister, she's a beautiful, beautiful woman. And she's always been into alternative medicines and everything. She's very, very awake in certain places. And yet, every now and again, I think, she's not awake. You know, that, you know, those people who are in the middle, very awake, had a lovely conversation, and then the next day, they just said something that made me realise that they're not awake. And I said, what about her? What about those kind of people? They haven't made a decision yet. And the emissary said, oh, but they probably have. They said, most people now have made a decision on the inside. They said, however, what happens is when you make that decision, it doesn't start manifesting itself outside. They said what happens is people now are starting to surrender. They're surrendering themselves. And we've talked about surrendering, and I talked about my experience with surrendering. And what they're saying is that everybody now is surrendering. Either surrendering to the New World Order and all that means, or surrendering to the good side, the side of saying, no, I refuse. I do not want to have that. And so the emissaries were saying that most people, and only a stragglers left, have already made the decision. But they said because it takes time to manifest in this realm, that it doesn't appear that they made a decision. They said, remember, they were talking to me, remember when you surrendered yourself, and I do it all the time now, but I remember the very first time I was walking through the countryside and I just said, I surrender myself. You show me now. I've worked too hard and it doesn't work. You show me. I hand myself over to you. biggest relief ever in the world that I had. It was like, finally, instead of dragging your life through your life, it was like suddenly I was holding the hand of the universe, and the universe was just taking me forward. God, I suppose. For me, by then, I was holding God's hand, and God was leading me. But then they said, you did that, and what happened? Nothing, except a beautiful feeling inside, clearly. Beautiful feeling inside. But nothing really happened straight away. It was like, all right, okay. And I kept doing it. And then, what happened? Then ayahuasca came my way. Then the emissaries came. Then I had ideas about sharing my therapy skills with other people so that we could be ready for that healing. That's going to happen at the beginning. We're going to need healers. That and so much more happened, but it didn't happen right away. It happened in stages. The first job that we've got to do is that surrendering, and that's what the emissaries say that the majority of people have already done. They've already surrendered. They didn't say whether my sister had surrendered to the good side or to the dodgy side. They didn't say that. That's not their business to talk about other people. But they did say she's already made the decision, or it's very likely that she's made a decision. And so the bottom line is, the Great Awakening's done. Now, there are lots and lots of ideas about how many of us there are. Ideas of, I think the emissaries were suggesting that there was about 30% of NPCs that just aren't going to wake up because they're not designed to wake up. And then there's about 30% of people who were awakened, with that number growing a bit, potentially hitting 40%. And then the rest of the people heading off with the NPCs. Do I feel sorry for them? Not really. No, not really. Because that's been their choice. That's their path. That's their plan. They wanted that. And I probably, in truth, that we chose to go on the good side, and I'm bloody hoping I did choose to go on the good side. Yes, I did. Of course I did. But maybe we were the weaker ones. Maybe we were the ones who said, no, I really don't think I could face that. Thank you very much. I know it will make me into a better soul, but I'd rather not. I'd rather have a little bit of nice, please, if you don't mind, toward the back end of my life, a little bit of nice. So maybe, it's like that old idea of the baddies are the ones who've made the largest sacrifice in terms of the journey that they have to make. Maybe the people who have to go off to the fiery bowels of Gehenna, maybe they're even more spiritual. Maybe they're even braver than what we are. Who knows? Who knows? That's a paradigm shift in terms of how we look at them and how we look at ourselves. However, that said, I'm still not going down there. Even if it made me into a better person, I'm not going. I'm going to the right, to the path, and I see them beautifully now. It's very clear when I talk about it. It's always over here. To the right, I'm going to on the right-hand path so that I can be on the right-hand side of God to do the right thing. You see, the right, not left. Hence the fact that at the moment, the political right tends to be the goodies and the political left tends to be the baddies. Have you noticed that? Right and left. You've got to get it right in your head. I don't think any of that is by accident. I don't think any of these words that are being given to us as and the meaning that they have, I don't think it's by accident at all. Left-hand path for the other buggers, for the brave souls. And so let's see what the emissaries continue to talk about, because now we're on to stage 3, really, stage 3, beyond the split. I love you all, and I'll speak to you all later. Please put in the comments what you think. Are you seeing signs of people having made a decision or not? At the moment, I still find a lot of people don't appear to have made a decision, but the emissaries say that they have. So let's see. That will manifest very soon, I think. Very soon we'll see something big. I get the sense that something big is happening. I don't know what. I don't know. Just a big energy shift. And it could be that. It could be that. Who knows? I love you all, and I'll speak to you all later. Bye-bye.